What's up, guys, and welcome back to In the Shop TV. Guys, this is going to be video number 2 in our budget rear end assembly video series. If you haven't seen the first episode, help me out, go watch it. Anyway, our rear axles have a 96 Ford Explorer. It's got 3¼ inch axle tube. We broke it all down. Right now we're going to start focusing on scraping all that old rust off, any residual paint that was on there, get it in primer and paint, and looking good for reassembly. In the last episode, we took it out of the truck, put it on jack stands, and permanently welded on our 4-link brackets. They were just kind of tacked on there. Guys, if you want to follow along and see this project get completed, please click that subscribe button and click the little bell notification so you get notified whenever we upload a new video in this series. So I just got started and I was using this cupped wire wheel initially. It's really stiff, but fortunately for me, so far as you can see, stuff is coming out really clean. There's just a very light coat of paint on it. It's coming off easily and very minimal surface rust. This is actually kind of a little bit much in the sense that it's really stiff and I can't get into the crevices really well. So this is what I switched over to. And you can see how it kind of sticks out on the sides and pokes out down in the center. It's just really, really good for getting into those tight little areas. So let's continue on and get this sucker cleaned up. Guys, it's only been about 5 minutes of working that wire wheel on the back side of this, but man, I think I got more than I bargained for out of that wire wheel. Check this out. I was not planning on this at all. I figured I was going to have to prime some rusty metal. Now, I got to prime some clean metal. In fact, I don't know if the primer that I bought is going to work out. Imagine working on a classic car and having metal that's too clean. How often does that happen? That'll work. All right, so the good news is I'm about 2/3 done and it is coming out fantastic. The bad news is you should really not be wearing shorts when you do this kind of stuff because you collect shrapnel. And sometimes it misses your shorts and goes right in your leg. So guys, wear safety gear when you do this stuff. Don't be stupid like me. Damn. Yeah, I think that wheel's done. All right, guys, I feel like we got this sufficiently sanded down, cleaned up as best we can. Not the diff cover, we're gonna change that. But the cast, we got a lot of that rust off there. There's still slight discoloration there and up here. But I think overall, I'm not gonna go too much more crazy with that. All right, so next steps, I think I gotta clean this because if you just run your finger over it, you get like, some residue from all that dust and stuff that I ground off of there. So I think I'll try like a 2-step approach. I'll get the air gun out and just blow it off really good, and then we'll get some rags and spray cleaner and wipe it down as best as possible. I'm gonna wipe this down with some brake cleaner and see how much better we can get it. I like to spray the rag down with brake cleaner a little bit because if you spray it right onto the metal, as you can see, it evaporates almost immediately. Whereas this will hold that moisture for quite some time and allow you to pick up a lot more debris and particulate. So you can really see I have this flipped upside down now. What a good job that wire wheel did on the underside of this pumpkin. The top side, it was a little bit rustier because that's where the pumpkin sits under the carriage of the previous vehicle that was in, and it just kind of, water and stuff accumulates up there. So it's a little bit more rusted and dirty, but the bottom came out really, really good. So on this cast, I'm just spraying with brake cleaner. I'm taking the air hose and blasting it off because if you rub it down with the rag too much, it grabs the fibers from the rag and embeds them in here. And the last thing I want to do is just start picking off thousands of little pieces of rag from our project here. So again, I just spray it down and blast off with the hose. All right, I think we're about ready to start spraying this with some primer. What I've done is I've taken some rags and placed them on top of the jack stands because obviously we're gonna have to turn this at some point to paint it. And I think just metal on metal will scrape off whatever I've done. So my hope is that the softer surface will prevent that. So let's get started spraying. So I initially was gonna just use this one product, which was a rusty metal primer by Rust-Oleum. It's for heavily rusted surfaces. I did not think I was gonna get it as clean as I did. So I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and use 2 different types of primers. This is the first one. Again, it's Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of hit those areas that I could not get too clean that are on the pumpkin that are cast, mainly kind of where that pan hard bar bracket is on the bottom and everything, and just spot spray those little trouble areas real good, and then we'll take care of the rest of the axle with a different type of primer. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna flip it over to the other side. All right, so second product I'm gonna use is Rust-Oleum's Automotive Primer. I wanted this specifically because it's oil-based, and cast does really good with oil-based coverage. All right, so I've got my first coat down. It's kind of this dark charcoal color. Usually automotive primer from Rust-Oleum comes in like this gray, and I guess this is their version of that, but usually it's a bit of a lighter gray, which I like because it's easier when you top coat it. However, this being flat and dull and charcoal looking, I am gonna paint this a gloss black, so it still should show up enough. I should have enough contrast between the base and the color that I'm top coating it with to be okay. It's actually kind of a cool looking color by itself, but definitely needs to be top coated. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this the 15 minutes, 15 minutes till it's safe to touch time. And I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over so I can get the underside hit with a coat of this. I'm just doing really light mist coats for right now. I might do 2 coats in total, but no more than that. All right, so I ended up giving it 2 very light mist coats. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this flipped over and start putting our top coat down. Oh, this stuff lays down real nice. Wow. So it's the next day. Last night, all right, guys, that is our second top coat down, and it's looking very nice. I'm very pleased with how this. I gave it this dry time I gave it the recommended dry time, and it still kind of had that like tacky feel to it when you touch it. Wasn't leaving fingerprints or anything like that. 2 coats in the backside, I think we call it good, but not dry enough. So I figured, let me let it dry overnight. Let it sit there. I came back today. Now it's nice and smooth and dry and hard to the touch. I'm really happy with how it looks. Wait, we flipped it over. All right, so we're all painted up. With that said, I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. We have backing plates that got to go on. backing plates, calipers, pads, rotors. I'm happy with the way it came out. It's not, you know, powder coat. It's not a showroom. It's gonna last. We have a whole bunch of parts. Just starting to bolt stuff onto it. The axles. We have the axle bearings that gotta go in. The bearing seals that go on the end of the axle tubes. Our axle shafts gotta get. The brake system is kind of neat. Lots of stuff. You got new differential cover that's gotta go on. And then where that mounts, that moving surface on the axle rear end, I think somebody before painted it, but it's kind of neat now with some old RGB that's dried on there. And it's not in the greatest shape, so we got to clean that up. What else? I think that